find a church. Better find it soon. Better search through the night by the light of a sinner's moon. Better find a church.
Words so true. Better find a church, get on your knees. The alma mater of Fanaticus Knickerbocker, aka the New York Knicks. Welcome to the New York Knicks Saga.
Better confess, get it off your chest. Give your soul some rest while you still have one left. Cause even you gotta live with the things that you did. Secrets you hid. Heaven forbid that the devil gets word. Better find a church.
After years of figurative choking and literal sexual harassment, we begin our adventure in 2008.
Better find a church.
The New York Knicks are bad, as in 7 losing seasons in a row. I'm talking best player Al Harrington bad. Okay, Al Harrington wasn't a scrub, but his team record of 32-50 didn't exactly back him up. James Dolan, aka JD and the Straight Shot, had just released the album Right on Time to a chilling review of 2 out of 5 stars. The Knicks were about as respectable as that album. The previous GM, disco dancer, and sexual harassment officer Isaiah Thomas had just traded for Eddie Curry and been fired. And instead of explaining it myself, I believe Stephen A. Smith depicted it best.
Well, let me be very, very clear about what I'm about to say. I am in no way advocating violence. Not at all. There needs to be a barricade surrounding the city of New York. Eddie Curry, rumors about him going to Miami Heat. Pat Riley knocked that down. Offer Eddie Curry to Miami for free. Offer him for a bag of chips, for crying out loud. I got some cheese doodles right here, the wise cheese doodles. I got it right here. Got it right here. Offer it because he's not worth that. That would be a bargain.
Now fast forward to the offseason. The Knicks drafted Danilo Gallinari, passing up on Brook Lopez, Serge Ibaka, and DeAndre Jordan. They waived Stephon Marbury, but signed Patrick Ewing Jr. Patrick Ewing Jr. Quite a drop-off between father and son, apparently. Continuing on, Isaiah Thomas is fired, and we find our fan-favorite Knicks with new coach Mike D'Antoni and David Lee carrying the Knicks to a fantastic 23-59 record. And then in 2010-2011, the Knicks made the playoffs. Yes, behind a newly acquired Carmelo Anthony and a dominant season from Amari Stoudemire, the Knicks end up 42-40, their first winning season in nearly a decade. And then they got swept by Boston. But moving past that to the offseason, the Knicks were able to draft Iman Shumpert, but the Knicks' future was definitely headed in a positive direction. Right? Well, sort of. During the lockout-shortened season of 2011, the Knicks yet again made the playoffs, but suffered at the hands of Melo, declaring the ultimatum of the Knicks having to choose between coach Mike D'Antoni or him. And instead of keeping the future coach of the year in Mike D'Antoni, the Knicks chose Melo, and D'Antoni resigned thereafter. It's truly the New York Knicks, that when even a positive winning season arises, it can be marred by something as ridiculous as a Carmelo Anthony ultimatum. Moving on, however, the Knicks, with new coach Mike Woodson, lost in 5 games to the Heat. It's now 2012. Mike Woodson is coming into his own as the Knicks head coach. The Knicks finally had their breakout year as a dominant team in the East. Even with Amari Stoudemire dealing with injuries, the additions of J.R. Smith and Raymond Felton, along with an insane 29 points per game from Melo, boost the Knicks to a record of 54-28. The Knicks are finally back, and even with Amari Stoudemire's injury woes, the Knicks easily dispatched the Boston Celtics in the first round after Melo completely dominated. And then the Knicks met the Indiana Pacers in the conference semifinals. But unfortunately for our heroes, the fairy tale ends here. The defensive juggernaut that was the 2013 Pacers, including Roy Hibbert, David West, Paul George, and George Hill, completely dismantled the Knicks offense, holding the New York Knicks under 100 points in 5 of the 6 games in the series. Paul George moves on to face LeBron in the conference finals, and the Knicks are left in the dust. The year is now 2013, and unfortunately, due to a plethora of injuries, the Knicks return to mediocrity, missing the playoffs with a record of 37-45. They trade Marcus Camby, Quentin Richardson, and 2 picks for Andrea Bargnani. They sign Metta World Peace, but then the biggest blow arrives. It's now 2014.
Joined now by NBA insider Chris Broussard. And Chris, why did Phil decide to come back and with the New York Knicks?
Well, he's been itching to get into the game as an advisor, as a front office president for a while.
Yes, the Zen Master himself is now running the New York Knicks. It's April 16th, 2014. After signing his old player Shannon Brown, Phil acquires Lamar Odom.
His very first move as the executive was to sign Lamar Odom, who was on crack.
Easy there, Stephen A, but either way, Odom did nearly nothing for the Knicks during his contract, and just 5 days after that legendary piece of reporting by ESPN's own Stephen A, the man responsible for the best New York Knicks record in nearly 15 years was canned. Mike Woodson was fired by Phil Jackson and replaced with Derek Fisher. Not to mention, Phil was fined for tampering after publicly wooing Fisher to become the head coach of the Knicks while he was still playing for the OKC Thunder. Fantastic move, Phil. Here's a highlight reel of Derek Fisher's tenure under Phil Jackson in New York. Now, in their first season with Phil and Fisher, the Knicks dropped 20 more games. Going, oh my god, they went 17-65? I didn't even realize that, but for those unaware, that's really bad. And in response, the Knicks received the 4th pick in the draft and the only success of the Phil Jackson era, Kristaps Porzingis. Meanwhile, for Carmelo Anthony, the Knicks offered Melo a 5-year, $125 million deal at 29 years old, meaning he would get nearly $30 million at age 34, which now OKC owner Clay Bennett gets to pay out. Congratulations, you're going to be paying a subpar scorer $2 million for every point he averaged last season. Now, going into 2015, the Knicks knew they had to revamp their roster. So, they trade away their 2 best guards, Iman Shumpert and J.R. Smith, for 3 bad players and a pick. Now, here is part 2 to the Phil Jackson era. It's 2016. Derek Fisher is fired and Kurt Rambis is promoted to head coach. Jimmer Fredette is signed and released, and Phil Jackson is yet again accused of tampering when calling Luke Walton, who at the time was leading the Warriors to a 39-4 record. During May of that same year, Phil, during the most crucial point of signing new head coaches, took a getaway to Montana and Iowa. Fun fact, Montana and Iowa are not in New York. Kurt Rambis is fired and replaced with Jeff Hornacek, and the Knicks trade for D. Rose. Now here's a general summary of the job Phil Jackson has done up to this point. And then, in the swirling swamp that has engulfed Madison Square Garden at this point, here is by far the biggest move made by Phil Jackson. Joakim Noah signs with New York for a 4-year, $72 million contract. Yes, the man with quite possibly the worst jump shot in NBA history signs with the Knicks, and then averaged 5 points and 8 rebounds for his career with New York. Now, for your viewing pleasure, here's a general summary of Joakim Noah's stay in New York.
Revamped their roster, and they both underachieved. to this point. Now, again, there's a little less than half a season left for them to turn it around. And certainly, oh my goodness, someone opened the door in the back, kind of blew that ball up.
Yeah, that was right there, the culmination of a frustrating season on that last free throw.
But look,
just
whoa, oh whoa,
it was wide right. That's a Florida State player right there.
Oh my goodness, shot right there.
In the years since, the Knicks have had continual seasons of 50 losses, and don't seem to be going anywhere anytime soon. Maybe the draft of 2017 would turn their fortunes around.
Silver with the Knicks pick.
With the 8th pick in the 2017 NBA Draft, the New York Knicks select Frank Ntilikina from Strasbourg, France, in SIG basket.
Who? Frank knitting? Is he knitting a scarf for Phil Jackson on the subway? Oh, that's cute. Anyways, yeah, Phil chose the point guard out of France who hasn't done anything yet. Maybe he has potential, but he passed on Dennis Smith Jr., John Collins, and Donovan Mitchell. And in his final act, during the reign of the Knicks as a Trojan horse stealing money from James Dolan, Phil Jackson brought up the possibility of the one thing that Knicks fans feared the most: trading Kristaps Porzingis.
We don't know because it's Phil Jackson we're talking about here, not the 11-time champion as a coach, but this novice executive who continues to show us all why he needs to get the hell out of New York quick, fast, and in a hurry. This is a disaster in the making.
Yes, Phil raised the possibility of trading away the only young star the Knicks held. That was the last straw. Phil Jackson was fired, replaced with Steve Mills, and finally, we have reached the present day. The Knicks currently hold the 9th pick in this year's draft. Hopefully they'll use it wisely. This saga has been long, hard, and full of bad decisions. And to give a general ending to this tale better than I can, I'll let the Knicks legend Charles Oakley express what all fans of the Knicks and the NBA in general have felt and received from New York since 2008.
Nice entry pass, and Jordan. Right now, everybody looking over there. Apparently, there's a Charles Oakley over there. Fight in the stands. Charles Oakley is involved in something. They need security in a big way. Security is there. Oakley now being taken off.
Well put, Oak. Well put. Thank you all so much for watching. So much effort went into this video, so liking the video would be a small but greatly appreciated gesture. Be sure to subscribe, and just a word of advice, if you're a Knicks fan, you better find a church and get on your knees, because James Dolan is still your owner.